Into the Super Bowl, Anderson teamed with rookie Chris Collinsworth to key the Bengals' offensive attack. Plays like that 49-yard gain last Sunday, evidence of their impeccable timing. Today, you'll see Anderson and Montana again as they lead their respective conferences in the Pro Bowl. For Montana and the 49ers, a dream season in the playoffs for the first time since '72. San Francisco won its first ever NFC title January 10th when in the final minute of play, Montana threw in the direction of Dwight Clark, whose leaping catch beat the Cowboys and sent the 49ers on to the Super Bowl. Michigan is a memory for Montana and Clark now as they bask in the warmth of Hawaii. The football season climaxes today as the focus shifts from Detroit to Diamond Head, and a capacity crowd settles in at Aloha. An extravagant pre-game pageant here today, so that ran a little bit long. The kickoff delayed momentarily. Right now, the toss of the coin at midfield with Red Cashin, the referee. This game sold out.
It's heads, your choice.
Shortly after the tickets went on sale.
You want the ball? Turn around.
The Pro Bowl finding the most comfortable home in Hawaii.
Won the toss, will receive. Gentlemen, let's play football.
NFC to receive. The game, of course, was played in Los Angeles for years. It was played there exclusively prior to the merger, and then 2 years after the merger in 1970, then moved around. And here in Hawaii since 1980, this the third year. Backup, an unusual role for that man, but that's what the Pro Bowl is like when you've got Dan Fouts beginning the game on the bench. Of course, it's Ken Anderson who gets the start for the AFC. And on the NFC side, the big man for the 49ers as they won Super Bowl 16 last week in Pontiac, Joe Montana. He'll be backed up by the Atlanta Falcons' Steve Bartkowski. The coaches, by the way, for the AFC, Don Shula of the Miami Dolphins, and for the NFC, it's John McKay of Tampa Bay.
And now two different approaches to preparing for this game this week as we look at Kenny Anderson, who is the MVP in the AFC and really played a very fine Super Bowl game. His team was on the short end of the stick, but Kenny brought his team back and played very well. And there's Don Shula, and as we're about to say, Shula this week has worked his troops pretty hard, Al. They've gone with pads on every day. That's very unusual for a Pro Bowl game. They've worked 2 hours a day, and John McKay, his team has worked 45 minutes a day, no pads, very light. NFC players were very happy about that, I must add.
Shula's had success in Pro Bowls in the past. He's coached in two, won them both. The AFC to kick off with Nick Lowry to put it in the air. Billy Sims, number 20, is back deep. Number 23 is Mike Nelms of the Washington Redskins. Each team with a 40-man roster, and one kick return specialist was named for each team. That is Nelms for the NFC, and it's Carl Roaches of Houston for the AFC. So for the third year in a row, the Pro Bowl at Aloha Stadium, and here we go. A high kick that will fall into the arms of Nelms at the 13, out past the 20 to the 25, and run out of bounds near the 28-yard line by Donnie Shell. So the NFC on 1st and 10 with Joe Montana leading it. He should be in for a couple or maybe 3 series initially. And then you've got Tony Dorsett and Billy Sims starting as the running backs. Jenkins of the Falcons, Lofton of the Packers, Giles of Tampa Bay are the receivers. Ken, Cross, Saul, Scott, and Donovan. Scott and Donovan, the Cowboys, on the left side. 1st and 10 for the NFC from the 28-yard line. And Montana going straight to the air with a little screen at the 20-yard line. Unable to hold on there. Tony Dorsett. Robert Brazil in on the play of the Houston Oilers. Defensively for the AFC, the bookends, part of the New York Sack Exchange, of course. You've got Klecko and Gastineau with Johnson and Baumhauer in the middle. Brazil of the Oilers, Lambert of the Steelers, Hendricks of the Raiders are the linebackers. The defensive backs, you've got two Steelers, Blunt and Shell, along with Barbaro of the Chiefs and Hayes of Oakland. 2nd down, 10 from the 28-yard line. With Lofton split to the right, it's Dorsett. Out past the 30, Tony takes it out to the 32-yard line. Dorsett, another scintillating season, over the 1,000-yard mark again in his 5th NFL year. Mark Gastineau, number 99 of the Jets, in on the tackle.
Now, the thing about this game, Al. They do not have any blitzing except when it's a third and short situation. They have to play one defensive pass coverage. That's a zone, which is always done to the strong side of the field. So it helps the offense a little bit from that standpoint.
Ball out at the 32-yard line. 3rd down and 7. With split backs this time. Montana with a straight drop and good protection, and as he did during the regular season, scrambling for the first down. Out to the 41-yard line, run out by Lester Hayes.
Do you remember the days when they said you cannot win with a running or scrambling quarterback? And we had 2 in the Super Bowl. Here's Montana, who's, I think the greatest asset he has is his great instinct of knowing where he is on the football field. He also has pretty good feet, throws the ball pretty well too, but his instinct of knowing where he is his greatest asset. And if he hasn't made a believer out of you people out there watching this, he's made a believer out of me.
You can appreciate the scrambling more, of course, than Mr. Tarkenton. At the 41-yard line, it's 1st and 10 with William Andrews in the game, number 31 of the Falcons. On a delay, it's Dorsett taking it out close to the 45-yard line. Tony with a second carry. Too Tall Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
Very interesting. Too Tall left football to go into boxing for 1 year, and since he has been back, he has played his best football at Dallas and probably had his best year this year.
6th year in the league, and yet this is the first time he has been to the Pro Bowl.
Too Tall is only 6'9".
2nd down, 6. The NFC in blue from the 45-yard line. No score early in the first quarter. Dorsett finding no room at all and dropped back at the 41-yard line near the original line of scrimmage. Joe Klecko, number 71, in on the stop.
You know, Al, in this game, there's, pride is a word used a lot in sports, but there's a tremendous amount of pride in a game like this. These are the elite of the National Football League. They don't want to be embarrassed. They want to impress their peer group that are in this game, and you will see all the players play very, very hard.
AFC goes to the nickel defense. The extra back is in. 3rd down, 10 from the 41-yard line. Montana, who scrambled for the first down, throws this time and dropped at the 40-yard line by Alfred Jenkins.
Did he put it on the numbers or not? It was a tremendous throw. All right, here comes Alfred Jenkins. Now, you've got to remember, he's been out of football for about 4 weeks because the Falcons did not make the playoffs. Runs the pattern on Blunt. Doesn't have much to go with there. But this ball was thrown in the only place it could have been thrown, and Alfred just didn't catch it.
Each team with 1 punter, 1 place kicker, 1 kick return specialist. That's Carl Roches, the kick specialist from Houston, and Tom Skladany, named to the NFC team as the punter from the Lions. Roches at the 20-yard line to the 25, and a 10-yard run back takes it to the 30. Frank LeMaster, the Eagle linebacker, making the tackle. So the AFC takes over offensively for the first time. 12:20 to go, first period, and no score from Honolulu. Yard line, 1st and 10. AFC taking over offensively for the first time in the game. Ken Anderson of the Bengals is the quarterback. And he gives it to his teammate, Pete Johnson, who gets about 2. Anderson, who will be backed up by Dan Fouts, appearing in his 3rd Pro Bowl. Now, offensively, for the AFC, the running backs, Pete Johnson and Joe Delaney. Johnson's in there because Anderson is in there. Campbell was actually named as a starter. He's got Watson, Collinsworth, and Winslow as the receivers, with Powell, Hanna, Webster, Wilkerson, and Munoz up front. Pickup of 3 for Johnson, and to the 2nd down and 7. The Kansas City rookie, Joe Delaney, stopped at the line of scrimmage. Ronnie Lott coming up from the corner, the sensational rookie from the 49ers, to make the tackle. The National Conference, defensively, Selman, White, English, and Jones, 2 Cowboys there, White and Jones, Blair of the Vikings, and then the 2 Giants, Carson and Taylor, the linebackers. NFC secondary, the rookie Locke, Cromwell of the Rams, Fensick of Chicago, Young from Philadelphia. 3rd down, 7 from the 33-yard line. Early in the first period, no score. Anderson's first pass of the day. If he can get it away, and like Montana, he scrambles, picks up the first down, and slides out to the 43-yard line, reminiscent of last week, as Cromwell comes up to make the stop.
Well, there he is. During the season, Anderson rushed for over 300 yards. Very unusual for a quarterback to have 300 yards rushing. It's not easy to get a pass rush in this game because you're only rushing 4 people, no blitzing. Anderson had a little gap, took it, and got his first down.
Second leading ground gainer this year for the Bengals, back of Johnson. First and 10 from the 42-yard line. Anderson going to the 45-yard line to Chris Collinsworth. The two Bengals teaming up for a first down as they move the ball into NFC territory.
There's Shoes. Shula took up tennis about 4 years ago. Got to be a very avid tennis player. He's got good weather to play it in over here. He's got his shades on. Not unlike Miami weather, though. He's used to it.
At the age of 51, winning the AFC East with Miami this year. And then, of course, they lost in the sensational playoff game on the 2nd of January to San Diego. From the 44-yard line on first down, it's the big one, Johnson.
Is he a load or not?
Well, Pete normally weighs in around 248, 249. It's hot enough today. You're going to lose a few pounds out there. Warm day, AstroTurf playing surface. Remember, it's about 11:20 in the morning here. And by the third period, you're going to see a lot of substituting. Second down, 5 from the 39. Give it to Johnson again. Straight ahead he goes inside the 35, and he's very close to a first down. Pete Johnson, as you look at his numbers on the season, 4 men who have been named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. George Musso, Doug Atkins, Sam Huff, Merlin Olsen, all here today. Recently named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They'll be inducted in Canton on the 7th of August, and we'll be talking with the 4 throughout the day. Third down and inches. Double tight end set up for the AFC with Kellen Winslow on one side and Ozzie Newsome on the other. It figures to be Johnson, and it is, and it's a first down for the AFC. So they picked up 3 in a row on this drive.
Nothing really fancy about Pete Johnson. He kind of reminds one of a fullback that played for the Cleveland Browns years ago, one Marion Motley, who went about the same size, didn't dance around much, just ran over everybody, and that's what Pete Johnson does.
Anderson, of course, used to calling his number. As you look at Earl Campbell, each team with 4 running backs. We've had Delaney and Johnson in there for the AFC. Campbell and Chuck Muncie of San Diego are the other backs. First and 10 from the 32-yard line. Anderson trying to scramble away, but down he goes as the whistle sounds. He lost the ball, but after the whistle at the 39-yard line.
That was Leroy Selman that got him out, and again, that's amazing that you get that kind of pass rush in this situation because you really basically got 6 guys blocking on 4. Leroy Selman beat his man and probably another and forced the sack.
Selman now comes out, and Fred Dean takes his place. Dean, the NFC Defensive Player of the Year, not a starter here, however. Not even a starter, of course, for his own team, the 49ers, used as a pass rush specialist.
But did he turn that defense around? When he came to the team, it just was something they missed and needed, and they went on from there.
On second down and 18. Anderson going for it all and looking for Collinsworth, but the pass is short and knocked down by Roynell Young, who looked like he had a sure interception.
He did have a sure interception. There again, Roynell Young hadn't played football in about 3 or 4 weeks. And the ball was underthrown. He's trying to get to his favorite receiver, Collinsworth. Roynell Young just dropped the ball. Here we go, one more time from the reverse angle. Let's see if he keeps his eye on the ball. Well, oh no, he just dropped it. He said, I'm sorry.
So the AFC is able to keep the drive alive, but upcoming third down and 18 from the 40-yard line. Collinsworth split left, and Frank Lewis of Buffalo to the right. And he'll dump it off for Johnson at the 40-yard line, and Pete gets down to the 34 for a pickup of 6 as Roynell Young came up to make the stop that time. So the line of scrimmage is the 34. If they go for the field goal, you're talking about 51 yards.
A healthy kick.
Nick Lowry is the place kicker. A look at the historic Ted Hendricks, one of 2 Raiders in the game, the other being Lester Hayes.
And talking about field goals, Al, he has blocked a few in his career, but of course his team is kicking it, so they don't have to worry about that now. But Matt Blair on the other side of the line has blocked a lot, but I see they got Too Tall Jones, all 6'9", in the block position. The guy that's going to leap up in the middle there and try to block it.
It'll be a 52-yard attempt from the 42-yard line, and it is wide to the left. Good distance, didn't have the accuracy, and so the AFC gives it up. NFC taking over with 6:20 remaining in the first period at Aloha Stadium. No score. Just a perfect day. The light breeze. Aloha Stadium, very close to Pearl Harbor, about a 10-15 minute drive from downtown Honolulu. Sold out. 3rd year in a row the game has been played here. They love it. First down from the 33-yard line is Joe Montana on the NFC second possession, throwing incomplete. He sent Dorsett out into the pattern. Merlin Olsen going into the Hall of Fame. He's here, and with him is Russ Francis.
Well, Merlin, you're no stranger to Hawaii and no stranger to the Pro Bowl. You played here in college, and you were the player of the game of the Hula Bowl 1962, Rookie of the Year 1962, and record 14 appearances in the Pro Bowl. This has got to be a crowning achievement, being in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you, Russ. Very exciting for me, and it's been exciting just to step down and see so many of my friends here in this game and on the sideline. But this announcement, finding out I'm going to be a part of the Hall of Fame, is very exciting for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've watched you play for many years, and I've watched your broadcasting and really enjoyed it. And also, I'm a big fan of your new series, Father Murphy. Continue. Good luck to you.
Russ, thank you very much. And even though it's on NBC, I'm sure Room won't mind if we pop it for Tuesday night.
I'll be watching.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, Merlin Olsen, man who chased Mr. Tarkenton around a time or two.
What a class gentleman he is. Great football player. He richly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Makes me feel old. He came into the league a year after I did.
That's right. Went out in 76. 3rd down and 1 after Billy Sims had picked up 9 for the NFC. And William Andrews.
And he fumbled, but we'll have to see whether the whistle had blown or not.
AFC thinks they have it. No signal yet from the officials. Red Cashin is the referee, and it is indeed a fumble.
Our first turnover of this match.
So the AFC taking over in NFC territory at the 44-yard line. It was Gary Barbaro who came up with it.
And Dan Fouts now is coming to the game at quarterback, Al.
Fouts is the quarterback. That means Campbell and Muncie are the running backs.
And that's
Steve Watson of the Denver Broncos at the 30-yard line.
And he is an amazing man. Steve Watson, nobody knew anything about him as you watch him here. They said he wasn't really fast enough, wasn't really big enough. And all he did was just have a phenomenal year, made the Pro Bowl. Got off to a wonderful start in Denver this year and really helped them to a surprisingly good season in Danny Reeves' first year as head coach.
Big play man, averaged more than 20 yards per reception, picks up about 9.5 here. 2nd down, inches. In the eye, you've got Campbell as the fullback and Muncie as the tailback. And off the play fake, it's Fouts going over the middle and incomplete at the 15-yard line, trying to find his teammate Kellen Winslow, who looked like he was about to make a sensational one-handed catch and couldn't hang on.
All right, here it is from the end zone. Can you imagine Earl Campbell, fullback, which is a different position for him, usually a tailback. They make the fake to Muncie. Watch Winslow here. Almost one hand, brings it in. He is rather amazing, as all these guys are, but Winslow makes plays that I sometimes cannot believe.
Oh, who can forget that game on the 2nd of January at the Orange Bowl?
He and Fouts were unbelievable that day.
third down and inches from the 34, and there's contact on the left side of the line before the snap. So the play has been whistled dead. Muncy was the man who had taken the pitch. But we'll wait for the call. Mark Gastineau of the New York Jets.
Ball start by the offense.
Penalty against the offense. Gastineau of the New York Stock Exchange down on the AFC sidelines with Lynn Swann. Swanee?
Mark, a great performance by you and the Jets this year. You started out 0-3. How did your team orchestrate their comeback into the playoff?
Well, I think that the players just decided that we were going to start winning some games, and a lot of coaches were blamed, but it's within the players. If they decide that they're going to go out and they're going to give out 110%, well, they're going to win. And I think that we just decided to do it this year. Well, in 1981, not this year. This is a new season. But I hope that we have the same type of attitudes in 1982 as we did in 81. A lot of good things will happen to the New York Jets.
Thank you, Mark. Back to the game.
All right, Swanee, and it's a first down as Ozzie Newsome takes the pass on a 3rd and 5 and gets down to the 20-yard line for a first down for the AFC. Newsome, the only member of the Cleveland Browns named to the Pro Bowl. It's interesting, of the 28 teams in the league, 26 have representatives. Only 2 teams without a representative, the Colts in the AFC and the St. Louis Cardinals in the NFC.
That is interesting.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. And it's Earl Campbell.
I don't think Earl Campbell has ever run from the fullback position since he's been in professional football, and probably not in high school or college. But such is the nature of this game. Everybody's a great player, and Campbell was the one chosen to go to the fullback position and put the more angular one, Chuck Muncy, in the tailback slot.
Think about a linebacker on the defense. You look into that backfield, you've got Campbell as the fullback, Muncy is the tailback. Fouts on 2nd down, going for the end zone, and underthrown in the corner. Steve Largent of the Seattle Seahawks, the intended receiver. And Roynell Young, who nearly had the interception before covering.
You'll see that he does have his man beat. Ball is underthrown by Fauci. And no touchdown. Steve Largent is another receiver, very much like Steve Watson. Not great speed, great move people, tremendous hands, but they get open both short and long, even though they don't have the great speed.
3rd down and 7. Largent split left. Watson to the right. Fouts starts to slip. Down he goes. The ball is still loose, and the NFC has it at the 26-yard line.
Fred Dean has the ball, Al, and again, a pretty good pass rush by the NFC. And if y'all think this is just kind of an exhibition game, think again, because these players are really playing. You'll watch Fouts come back on a 3rd down situation. Watch Fred Dean from the left side of your screen just overpower his man, cause the fumble, and then recover the ball. That's why he was NFC Defensive Player of the Year.
Each team with a turnover. 3:32 to go. First quarter, in Honolulu in the Pro Bowl with no score. ABC's World News Tonight. Pierre Salinger continues his investigation with an exclusive report on how the Italian police beat the Red Brigade terrorists and rescued General James Dozier. Salinger, of course, had the inside story on the hostage negotiations about a year ago, and he has some exclusive and fascinating information. That's tomorrow on ABC's World News Tonight. New quarterback for the NFC. It's Steve Bartkowski of the Atlanta Falcons from the 26-yard line, and a new set of running backs, including his teammate William Andrews, who gets a yard out to the 27.
And here's a different type of quarterback. Bartkowski, unlike Montana, likes to go down the field. He throws longer pass routes, 20 to 30 to 40-yard routes. Montana, interestingly enough, in the Super Bowl game, did not throw a pass for a completion of over 20 yards. Very controlled type passer. Bartkowski of the Bomber.
2nd down and a short 8. And on the delay, it's Rodgers who takes it out to the 33-yard line. George Rodgers, a sensational rookie season, led the NFL in rushing yardage this year, won the Heisman Trophy in 1980 at the University of South Carolina.
I would imagine George Rodgers will have a very good game today. I'm sure he's excited about being in this game. He's He's read about all these players as a kid growing up, and now in his rookie season, he's here and playing with them.
3rd down and 3 for the NFC at the 33-yard line. 2.5 minutes to go in the period with no score. It's William Andrews seeking the 1st down and getting it out to the 39-yard line. Andrews and Bartkowski, 2 of 7 Falcons on the 40-man NFC roster. Interestingly enough, all 7 offensive players.
And I think that's why the Falcons are not in the playoffs. They had plenty of offense this year, but there again, 7 offensive Pro Bowl players, 0 defensive Pro Bowl players. It takes both to win, but you better have some defense.
They've got Andrews, Bartkowski, Jenkins, Ken, Miller, Thielman, and Van Note all here. 1st down from the 39-yard line. Give it to Andrews again, and he takes it out for a pickup of 3.
Well, essentially, the NFC have decided to go with just a 1 running back situation. 3 wide receivers and a tight end. So they've got 4 receivers up on the line of scrimmage that can come at you, and that does put a little pressure on the defense. But in doing that, Al, they're running the ball, which is interesting.
2nd down 7. They've got 2 tight ends in here.
Yeah.
88, Jimmy Giles on the left side out of Tampa Bay. Junior Miller of the Falcons, 81. On 2nd down and 7. The short drop, and out to Jenkins. He's into AFC territory, and a 1st down. Gary Barbaro catching up with him.
Well, what they're doing with the 4 receivers out there, now 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers, they're really forced them to go pretty much man on man. And that's very difficult to do.
Collinsworth of Cincinnati, Largent of Seattle. Taking a breather on the AFC bench. Temperature in the 80s today. Very hot down on the field. Half a minute to go in the period.
And back to 2 running backs.
With Andrews and Dorsett in the backfield, it's Bartkowski going long, looking for Jenkins, but overthrows him. Alfred Jenkins getting a step that time on both Gary Barbaro and Gary Green, the pair of defensive backs from Kansas City. But Steve throwing too long. You made a great point before, Fran. When you take a team like Atlanta, the Falcons have not played a game since the 20th of December. They missed the playoffs, so that's 6 weeks since these fellas have seen action.
And they really, you know, back in Atlanta, we've had snow and sleet and rain, so these guys haven't been working out a lot back in Atlanta. But they don't have it here. Look here in Honolulu.
Yeah, we hate to rub it in, but
sorry, folks.
2nd down and 10 from the 46-yard line. Bartkowski, and down he goes back at the 48-yard line as the defensive pressure applied by Art Still, number 67 of Kansas City, and Mark Gastineau.
Well, you're finding here that Bartkowski's getting a little pressure from the defense, but when you're trying to throw the ball, as long as he's trying to throw the ball, the offensive linemen have to hold longer, and it's a more difficult job. Pass rush gets to you in that situation, as we look at old Mark Gastineau, who's probably the leading cheerleader in the National Football League.
The gun sounds. That's the end of the 1st quarter in the Pro Bowl from Honolulu. A scoreless 15 minutes. Back with the start of the 2nd quarter after this. Pro Bowl in Honolulu. Al Michaels with Fran Tarkenton, Lynn Swan, Russ Francis. No score. The NFC with the ball at its own 47-yard line. 3rd down and 17. Steve Bartkowski. Joe Montana is back up in this one, leading this series. And Bartkowski looking for the 1st down. Contact made, but no flag at the 35-yard line. Alfred Jenkins, the intended receiver, on the underthrown pass, and Gary Green had him blanketed.
Gary Green had some kind of coverage there. The stats, the AFC got a little edge in 1st downs, a little edge in the yardage, a lot of edge in passing. That's the most significant thing there, 32 yards to 5. Watch the coverage by Gary Green. This is man-on-man coverage, something that's the most difficult. It's the most difficult thing to do in pro football. Gary Green had him just covered like a blanket, as Al said.
This is Sladany to kick. He averaged 43.5 yards per punt this season. And Roaches will let it bounce. And it just barely goes into the end zone. Joe Montana, Super Bowl MVP, down on the NFC bench with Russ Francis. Russell?
Well, first of all, Joe, congratulations from the nation. You guys were fantastic all year long. Where do you go from here?
Well, hopefully that we can get back started again in July, middle of July, and just now the job really becomes tough for us, and the fact that we've got something to live up to. And I think with everyone gets in the right mental frame, I think we can come back and give another good showing. We've got the people to do it.
Well, you married a girl from Hawaii over in Honoka on the Big Island, and you folks are off for a safari in Africa, are you?
That's where we're headed. We're not. About 4 days from now, we're heading over to Africa. We're going to come back to the Big Island later. We're just going to get away and take a few pictures, and both of us are animal lovers, so it'll be fun.
Well, enjoy yourself. You've earned it.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Al.
All right, Russ, and for the AFC, it was Joe Delaney picking up 5, getting it out to the 25, where it'll be second down and 5. Joe Montana, third year in the league, kind of lost in the shuffle with the 49ers. Of course, the fact San Francisco won 15 of its last 16 games this season. They started out 1-2, wound up 16-3, counting postseason. Joe Delaney takes it out to the 27-yard line, and as a reward, Bill Walsh is here. I know he's in Hawaii. I'm not quite sure if he's at the stadium today, but relaxing on the beach following the Super Bowl win.
I saw Bill this morning, and he looks very content. There's Joe Delaney. And what a rookie year he had. Amazing year. Tremendous quickness, speed. He's probably, I guess he's the smallest running back we have in this game, isn't he, Al?
He is. And a key man, obviously, for the Kansas City Chiefs, who wound up sending 5 men to the Pro Bowl. On third down and short is a first down as Pete Johnson takes a pass and goes out of bounds near the 38-yard line.
Pretty cute little play there as we look at Mel Blount. Mel doesn't have a lot of hair there, but never did have, but he covers pretty well. He's been around forever and still plays well. His peers again elected to the Pro Bowl team. And Pittsburgh was coming on pretty good this year, I thought, Al, at the end, and then Bradshaw went down in the Oakland game on Monday night. And it was all over from there.
First down, AFC at the 37-yard line. Anderson over the middle. Winslow for a first down to the 50-yard line. Gain of 12. A reminder for those of you on the West Coast coming up after this one, the Superstars, the Veteran Show, featuring 4 of the originals from 1973. You'll see Joe Frazier, Jean-Claude Killy, Raj Gilbert, and the winner from the first year, Bob Seagren, in action, followed by the premiere of the USA versus the World in Olympic sports, boxing. The Soviet Union against the United States from Moscow. Next on the West Coast. On first down from the 50-yard line, he's looking for Winslow and has him for another first at the 37.
And he just took the ball out of the hands of Harry Carson. Winslow is some kind of athlete. I think you'll see today that Anderson and Montana have great advantages over Fouts and Bartkowski because of the fact that they played a football game a week ago and they've still got their arm and their timing, conditioning, and that's very important when you're trying to throw a football.
Don Shula, the AFC coach, saying yesterday he's going to shuffle his fellas in and out. He said, but I've got to keep Winslow in there as much as possible. Of course, it was Shula who was on the other end when Winslow had that sensational day in Miami. Johnson pulling forward, getting to the 30-yard line.
Of course, Pete Johnson in college was overshadowed by the great Archie Griffin, who won 2 Heisman trophies at Ohio State. And Johnson was a blocker, but now Johnson is the one that's heralded, making the Pro Bowl and is running the ball for Cincinnati.
And then, of course, on the other side, you've got William Andrews, who was overshadowed to a large extent by Joe Cribbs, by James Brooks at Auburn.
He was the blocker at Auburn, didn't really run the ball. 3rd-round draft choice by the Falcons, and now he's here.
On second down and 3, it's Johnson again, breaking 1 tackle and may have enough for a first. Very close to it as he gets near the 27-yard line.
When you get a man as big as a Pete Johnson or an Earl Campbell, many people have said it, one guy tackle him is just not enough. It's just hard to put him down. It takes more than one. That time he broke the tackle, might have gotten the first down. Well, we expected a high-scoring game, Al, but so far, goose eggs on the board.
Great contrast in the 2 games that have been played here. As you can see, Johnson barely does pick up the first down. We had the highest scoring Pro Bowl ever 2 years ago, 37-27. Then last year, the hero, the MVP in the game was Eddie Murray, the place kicker from the Lions, who kicked 4 field goals. in a 21-7 victory for the NFC.
Well, they got a good chance here to get in for some points.
No score, 11:08 to play in the half. And from the 27-yard line, it's Joe Delaney trying to turn the corner and run out at the 20-yard line by the linebacker Harry Carson of the Giants.
You saw the quickness of Joe Delaney there. He doesn't have the size of a George Rogers or an Earl Campbell or Pete Johnson. But watch here. He dips in, a little bit of Dorsett. Out, breaks the tackle, and uses that protective sidelines, which are oh so valuable for those of us who don't like to get hit.
Gets it close to the 19. It is 2nd down and 2. Johnson.
Big beat.
He's becoming automatic. Jerry Robinson, the Eagle linebacker, making the stop on Pete.
Well, you know, the thing that they're not able to work on here are the short yardage situations. During the regular season, you have short yardage and goal line defenses that you call, that you work on, that you try to execute. In this game, you just try to do the best you can on 3rd and short. You don't have any special defense for it.
The way things are going with Johnson, the NFC better put out a call for the hacksaw. Jack is not here. Delaney. The tough yard, maybe 2. Gary Fensick of the Bears making the stop. Number 45, there he is, one of 3 Ivy Leaguers in the game. You've got the heady kicking game of the AFC with McAnally of Harvard, Lowry of Dartmouth, and then Fensick for the NFC out of Yale.
Out of Yaley. He's a hard-nosed Yaley.
Doesn't play like a Yaley.
No, he's hard-nosed. He will come up and tackle you.
11th play on this drive upcoming on 2nd down and 9. Anderson rolling, looking for the sideline and getting out of bounds. Run out by Leroy Selman.
You know, we talked about the controlled passing game. Both Cincinnati and San Francisco play good defense, but their offenses control the football down the field. We talked about Atlanta not having a good defense. They don't have a controlled offensive game plan. They try to go for the big bomb a lot, so therefore they don't keep their defense off the field. Hard to play defense when you're on the field most of the day, and that was the case with Atlanta, not the case with Cincinnati and San Francisco.
3rd down 7. 9:43 remaining in the half. Still scoreless. On a draw, Delaney inside the 10, taking it to the 8-yard line.
Yeah. They're going to kick a field goal.
So it's Lowry of Kansas City coming in. Nick missing a 52-yard attempt earlier, which would have been a Pro Bowl record. Nick in his 2nd year out of Dartmouth. Hit on 26 of 36 this season. His longest, a 52-yarder against the Raiders. This one from the 15-yard line.
Now watch how smooth he is. He's got a great swing here. Sidewinder, but he's a very fluid kicker. Well, we're not going to see it.
The snap is fumbled by Largent, and he has no Herrera to throw to. So down he goes, back at the 20. If Efren was there, that may have worked out.
Oh, my goodness. Here comes the snap. Let's see if it's... Snap is really pretty good. Snap should have been handled. It was a little low, but it wasn't a terrible snap. Didn't hit the ground first. And Steve Largent is in a lot of trouble.
So still no score with 8 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the first half. No score in the Pro Bowl. John McKay, head coach of the NFC. He took Tampa Bay to the NFC Central Division title. Coaches are named from the divisional winners that lose in the playoffs in that first round. Thusly, we have Shula and McKay on opposite sides today. And with the NFC on first down, giving it to Dorsett. He takes it out to the 20 for a gain of 5. Another man going into the Hall of Fame, the old-timer from back in the 30s, the great fair lineman, George Musso. And he's down with Lynn Swann.
George, great ball player for the Chicago Bears. Early on in your career, you were known as one of the big players in the game. Can you kind of compare the defensive linemen then and now?
Well, back in our days, Len, of course, you know, we had to play we had to play both ways, offense and defense. We were the kickoff team, the receiving team, and the defensive team. And, of course, we had to kind of keep ourselves in condition, and really, because we knew we were going to have to go 60 minutes.
You had the distinction of playing against two presidents, former President Gerald Ford and President Ronald Reagan. How was that experience?
Well, way back in 1929, I was a freshman at Millikan University at Decatur, Illinois, and Millikan played Eureka at Eureka, Illinois, and they have a college there at Eureka College. And, of course, the president was a lineman. He weighed about 170 pounds, and I weighed around 260.
I'm sure when Ronald Reagan tells that story, he can look back with competitive pride that he played against a Hall of Famer. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Lynn. It's been nice talking with you.
Al?
All right, Lynn, George Busso going into the Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, the NFC on 3rd down and 9. Dwight Clark, the intended receiver, but covered well on the play. Back there with him was Mel Blount.
You know, the defensive cornerbacks in this league today are amazing to me, because the rules have now made it so difficult to play the game. But when you see an athlete like Mel Blount could run stride for stride with the Dwight Clark, cover him all over the field, it's just amazing. They're tremendous athletes. Maybe the best athletes in football are the defensive cornerbacks.
The Oilers' Carl Roach is back to take the kick from Tom Skladany, getting set for his 3rd punt of the day. Good distance, a low kick, and Roach is from the 32, looking for some help and not finding much. Buried at the 35-yard line. Everson Walls, the Cowboy rookie, the first man to make contact. AFC taking over with 7:22 remaining in the half after a 50-yard kick. We're still scoreless. 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the first half. The Pro Bowl from Honolulu. No score. The AFC attempting 2 field goals. Nick Lowry missing on one. Steve Largent mishandling the snap on the other. They take over from the 36-yard line, and Fouts gives to Muncy. Chuck out past the 40 and dropped at the 44-yard line. Roynell Young coming up to make the tackle.
Sometimes Chuck Muncy just looks like he belongs in another league. To be that big and run that fast, it just shouldn't be allowed. But he can do it. He's an amazing back.
Muncy had a sensational day 2 years ago in this game. At that time, he was playing for the NFC as a member of the Saints.
Yep.
Won the MVP award.
Yes, he did.
2nd down, about 1.5 yards. As Fouts gives to Campbell, and Earl carries out to the 48-yard line and a 1st down.
I know Dan Fouts likes the passing game a lot, but when you have a Muncy and a Campbell, it just is a nice feeling to be able to give the ball to either one of them and let them go. 4 years, 4 Pro Bowls for Earl Campbell, not all bad.
From the 49, 1st and 10. That's your all-time offside.
You know what tickles me about offsides? They teach the defensive linemen to watch the ball and don't go to the snap of the ball, but they all listen to the cadence of the quarterback, and he missed.
Too tall, running the great circle route.
There's Tony Dorsett, Tony D, who I think had his best year this year, Al. He really played well.
Number 72 on the defense, still 1st down.
And I'm not sure Dorsett is recognized around the world as great a back as he is. You hear more about each year a Campbell or somebody else. Dorsett for 5 years has been over 1,000 yards and is one of the 3 or 4 best running backs in all of football.
Marvelously consistent, avoiding injuries, durable. On 1st down and 5, Muncy for 1 yard. Leroy Selman of Tampa Bay making the stop.
Now, I've covered 3 of these games in this booth, and I have played in a few of them myself. I've never seen a Pro Bowl game played with more intensity, more hard hitting, everybody hustling as I've seen today. Maybe that's the reason we have no score.
Well, there's a few bucks at stake, $5,000 to each member of the winning team and $2,500 for the losers. On 2nd down and 4, Fouts scrambling. Largent was open, but he overshoots him. Steve had gotten free, but Fouts was under pressure. George Rogers, the sensational rookie season, led the league in rushing. Let's go down to George with Russ Francis.
Okay, George, you led the league in rushing your first year, Heisman Trophy winner, Pro Bowl now. What's next for George Rogers?
Hopefully the Super Bowl. Hopefully Saints can come back next year and do like San Francisco and win Super Bowl. I think that's the next big step for us.
So the Super Bowl, I mean, you're here at the Pro Bowl. Are you enjoying yourself in Hawaii?
Oh, sure, man. It's fun. I've been here 2 years ago, and it's fun. It's nice to come back here in the hot sun and stuff like that. I like to be here.
Well, the people here of Hawaii like you too, George. I remember when you were here for the Hula Bowl, and we'd like to see you many more times in the Pro Bowl. Thanks.
All right, thank you, man.
On 3rd down and 3, Fouts dumping it. No flag.
But he's within the grasp. They're going to have
They're going to call him down at that spot.
Yep, and that's a proper call.
Leroy Selman at the 49-yard line. Had him wrapped up.
You know, so again, the pass rush has really been good today on both sides. Leroy Selman, the second time he's had a sack today. You know, he plays the 3-man line at Tampa. He gets double team and triple team, and I'm sure he likes having 3 other guys to help him out rushing the passer.
It's back to the original line of scrimmage, 4th down and 10. Nelms of Washington back deep as Pat McAnally gets set for his first punt. The Bengal kicker really booming it. Nelms will let it go, and into the end zone it goes. It'll come out to the 20. 50-yard punt. We have 4 minutes and 43 seconds remaining in the first half in Honolulu. NFC nothing, and the AFC nothing. Cincinnati Bengals, the great offensive tackle, second year in the league, first Pro Bowl appearance out of Southern California. Looking on as the NFC takes over with 4:43 to go in the half. At the 20-yard line, no score, and Joe Montana back in at quarterback. Off the play fake. Wide open is Clark. Deja vu out to the 42-yard line. Mel Blunt there to make the stop. Montana to Clark.
You know, quarterbacks do like to work with certain receivers. I had one named Rashad I like to work with a lot. Obviously, Montana and Dwight Clark have something together. I watched Clark that time run his pattern. He doesn't run orthodox patterns. He kind of ran down the field, hit into Blunt, spun off of him, and got open, got wide open, and made the catch.
What a year for Clark. Wins the Super Bowl. Named to the Pro Bowl for the first time, and his alma mater wins the national championship.
And his girlfriend is a former Michigan.
Yeah. The hat trick plus. Yeah. First down from the 42-yard line is Dorsett. Picks up close to 5. Ken Anderson of the Bengals, AFC quarterback. He's with Lynn Swan.
Congratulations on all your honors and being in the Super Bowl, but the Cincinnati team has played together for some time. What turned that team around to be a championship team?
Well, I think, you know, Forrest Gregg came in and did a great job, and I think one of the big reasons was our offensive line. They came around and gave me a lot of time to throw the ball, and we started scoring some points for a change.
You think getting Paul Brown off the field with only one responsibility as general manager and Forrest Gregg running the team helped?
Well, you know, Paul hasn't been involved since he got out of coaching, so, you know, but Forrest has got total control of the show, and that really makes a big difference.
Now that you're down here in the sun, what do you think about the controversies of playing playoff games on cold weather fields like Cincinnati's and San Diego's?
I wish we could have played the Super Bowl when it was minus 59.
I know what you mean. Congratulations, Kenny.
Thank you, man.
Al?
All right, Swanee, well put.
I like that.
59 below, they're fine. 72 in the Silverdome, not so good. 83 in Hawaii. He's dead even right now, no score.
Montana's got him on the move, though.
From the 50. 3rd and a couple. Montana swinging it out to Andrews. He's looking for the first down and fights forward to the 46 to get it. William Andrews, not only a great man to have carry the ball for you, but a man who was second in the NFC in pass receptions this season, second only to Dwight Clark. Andrews caught 81.
Oh, he's a great back. He's a great receiver. He's got good hands. He can block. He can do everything a great back is supposed to do. And he gives you the same type of performance week in and week out. He's as consistent as any player that's playing football today.
Clock runs down to the 2-minute warning. When play resumes, the NFC has it at the AFC's 46-yard line. 2 minutes to go in the half. No score in Hawaii. Al Michaels with France Arkenton. We're back in International Falls, Minnesota, with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Aloha Stadium sold out.
Montana's hot, Hawaii's hotter. I'm not sure about that, but both of them are pretty hot.
First down for the NFC at the 46-yard line. Montana sending everybody out into the pattern and seeking Lofton, but incomplete. He did not make the catch.
Threw the ball a little bit off balance. You know, the reason Joe Montana wasn't drafted in the first round probably because he doesn't have what they call a strong arm. You know, most of the scouts want to, as you look here at the ball being underthrown, you've got to have a great big bazooka arm to be drafted in the first round. And of course, Kenny Anderson was drafted about the 16th to 17th round, but Montana's got all the other things that make a quarterback great, which he has become in his third year, a great quarterback.
Worked perfectly, of course, under the system for Bill Walsh this year. Played college ball at Notre Dame under Dan Devine. Second down and 10 from the 46-yard line. Montana scrambling. This time he has Lofton, but no, Lofton is out of bounds as he makes the catch. So one is underthrown, and this one Lofton able to make the play on, but stepping on the chalk.
You watch it again. He's throwing on the run, which he can do. I think James Lofton probably thought he had more room than he really did. He'll get down inside that line more times than not in that situation. Good play by Montana. Showed his quick feet again. His sense of feel of where he is on the field. Got away from the rush. Picked out the receiver.
Third down and 10. A minute 44 remaining in the half. No score. Montana going deep, but some mix-up on the pattern.
Yes.
Incomplete.
Jimmy Giles was the tight end. Montana thought Jimmy Giles was going to run a deep pattern outside. Giles hooked up, and that's the reason you had the incompletion on third down.
Ronnie Lott out of Southern California.
He might think he's in International Falls.
Back to kick. Tom Skladany, that's Carl Roaches, standing at the 10. Skladany angles it, tries to find the corner.
Got it.
And it's a good kick.
Al, ask me again if I think it's going to be, what kind of game I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna
right.
be.
At the beginning, it was France Arkenton who said, explosive fireworks today. Plenty of scoring. A minute 30 to go in the half. Nothing.
Second half.
With a minute 26 to play in the half, NFC just having taken a timeout defensively, hoping to hold the AFC and get the ball back. On second down, 11. Dan Fouts of San Diego sends Largent wide to the left. Fouts has it picked off at the 15-yard line by Everson Walls, and the Dallas rookie takes it to the 4.
Did we say Joe Montana had a good instinct and feel for the game? But Everson Walls also has that. Drafted low, nobody thought he could make it to the National Football League, but he led the league in interceptions, 11 interceptions during the season. Watch here, out of nowhere comes Everson Walls. There he goes. Wasn't his man that he was thrown to. He came off of his man and came back in and made the play. They said earlier in the year they were picking on him. They picked on him too many times. He got the interceptions, and here he is in the Pro Bowl.
The rookie out of Grambling puts the NFC at the 4-yard line with a minute 16 remaining in the half. Montana, the quarterback. With Andrews and Dorsett, the running backs, going to the air, and it's a touchdown. Jimmy Giles of Tampa Bay.
Good looking play, just a little play pass action down there. They got to expect run from the 5. He faked into the line, rolled out. He's got such ability to roll out and get outside. It really helps him. Here's nice on Jimmy Giles. Here he goes. gets off of Blunt. Blunt falls down. He trips another man. Jimmy Giles goes high, gets it.
Jimmy Giles.
When you're not a real tall quarterback, Montana's not real tall compared to Fouts and some of the others. It helps to be able to have the feet to get outside and away from the rush to give you a better vision of the field, and Bill Walsh lets him do that.
Raphael set the end of the Cowboys out of the hold from Nolan Cromwell, and it's blocked.
If you think about intensity, when do you see blocked field goals in a Pro Bowl game? That tells you something right there.
And a blocked extra point there for Gary Green of Kansas City, who came through to knock it down.
Well, I've told you it'd be high scoring. I just didn't tell you what quarter is going to start happening, but now they've turned it loose. Reverse angle here. We'll see. Let's watch the snap and the hold and see if he gets the ball down. Snap is a little low, but still good. Ball is down. Whale of an effort. There was a hole on the right side there. He came through, made the block.
The interesting thing, of course, in a game like this, not that many of the players on either side are used to playing on the special unit.
They really aren't, especially on the kickoff receiving team and the kickoff covering team. Very difficult for these players to get adjusted to this. Nobody likes to be on these teams, but in this game, they're all all-stars, and somebody has to do it. You would expect, really, Al, to see big plays on special teams here. A long kickoff return, long punt return. I'd be very surprised if we don't see one during the course of the day.
Set the end, kicking off to Roaches, who may not have a chance to run it back, but he decides he will from 4 yards in to the 10, 15, and runs it back to the 20-yard line with 1:04 remaining in the first half. The reminder coming up next Saturday. Start your day with a Pro Bowlers Tour, getting underway at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Then ABC's Wide World of Sports, special expanded edition, 4:30 Eastern. You'll see the Men's World Downhill Skiing Championship from Schladming, Austria. Phil Mayer and Ingemar Stenmark in that one. And the United States National Men's and Pairs Figure Skating Championship from Indianapolis. All next Saturday on most of these ABC stations. Good defensive tackle right there. First down from the 20-yard line. As Fouts throws out to the 45 to Steve Watson, right on the money.
That is
first
pretty.
Down.
That is pretty, Al. I mean, that was really some kind of throw by Dan Fouts. Let's watch Watson. Came out of nowhere this year. Really had some kind of year as an outside receiver. Just makes it a simple end move. Fouts delivers the ball on time, catches the ball easy in stride. Some receivers fight the ball, have a hard time really making the move and then going for the ball. Steve Watson's got a natural way about him to not break stride when he's reaching for a football. He can go get a ball that many receivers cannot get.
Watson averaging nearly 21 yards per reception this season. Picks up 26 here. AFC taking a timeout. They have 2 remaining in the half with 55 seconds to go. NFC on top 6-0. The NFC has been on a roll in this game. They've won 4 straight. They have won 6 of the last 7. And for the first time since the merger, the NFC is seeking what would be a triple crown. This year they won the interconference battle over the AFC. They win the Super Bowl with the 49ers, and they can complete it with a Pro Bowl victory.
It has really been lopsided all during the 70s. Super Bowl losses to the NFC. The only thing that hadn't been lopsided has been the Pro Bowl, as you mentioned. And but they're balancing it back out now. These things run in cycles, and the NFC now is more competitive with the AFC.
Parity again. It's been the key word all year.
Yeah. I like to think of it as competitive rather than parity, and it's gotten very competitive.
Muncie to midfield and out of bounds at the 50, stopping the clock with exactly 50 seconds. There's Rich Saul of the Los Angeles Rams, and his career closes here today. No stranger to the Pro Bowl. He's been in 12 seasons out of Michigan State. At the age of 33, wrapping it up here.
Been a salty old veteran down there in the pits, as they say, and been a great player. I know Jeff Seaman, who played for the Vikings, thought that Saul was as good a center as he played against.
Second down and 6. Muncie Run out of bounds at the 46-yard line, shy of the first by a couple. Matt Blair there to make the stop, and that ate up 6 seconds. We have 44 remaining in the first half.
They are pretty ladies here in the line. I know you wouldn't notice anything like that, but
the 50th state.
Some would.
Nothing like it. Weather has been great past few days. Had some rain here for a couple of weeks, but it's cleared up. Perfect day.
It really is.
Third down, yard and a half from the 46. Campbell, and they stop him.
I don't think he did. Randy White, 54, got in there. Tremendous charge by Matt Blair, 59. And how do you stop Earl Campbell short on third one? I don't know. But if you have a Randy White and a Matt Blair, it's possible.
Now you've got a 4th and 1 as they let the clock run down. Under 20 to play in the half.
Go for it.
Pitching it to Muncy. He gets to the 39. And they'll stop the clock now with time for one play.
Was one of those alley-oops. It's one of those wide Tittle, RCO, and alley-oops.
So we've got a timeout here with 5 seconds remaining in the first half. 6-0 NFC. And let's check in New York with Jim Lampley.
Very quickly, 2 significant college basketball scores from this afternoon. In the Capitol Center, resurgent Georgetown demolished St. John's 63-46. St. John's went more than 11 minutes of the second half without a field goal. Wake Forest traveled to Arkansas and beat Arkansas 49-48. All 4 of those teams are conceivable contenders in the national tournament at the end of the year. Now back to Al Michaels.
All right, Jim, and with 5 seconds to go, Don Shula, Fran, the coach of the AFC, remember he was burned on the hook and trailer play, or used it effectively against San Diego.
He will use a gadget play of some type right here. He's famous for it, so he may throw a receiver down the field, have the receiver lateral to somebody else. But if they're going up
all the way, bounce into the end zone, and it's knocked away. 3 receivers were in the area. Could have been throwing for any of them, along with 4 defensive backs. So a crowd of 7 and an incompletion to end the half. There they are, the trips.
There they are. Down the field they go. Ozzie Newsome, Winslow, Largent, and this is a pretty good goal. They just throw it up and hope that the ball will bounce around and one of their guys will get it. You know, you watch Ozzie Newsome almost had the ball before it hit the ground.
So that's the end of the first half at the Pro Bowl in Honolulu. The NFC on top 6-0. And we'll be back after this message and a word from our local stations. From Honolulu, Joe Montana finding Jimmy Giles late in the first half after an interception by Everson Walls. That's the only scoring. 6-0 NFC. Right now, coming up, our ABC News halftime report with Tom Jarrell.